You've probably had that moment, standing at the edge of something you desperately want. Maybe it was love that felt just out of reach, success that always slipped through your fingers, or peace that never lasted more than a few moments. You worked hard, you visualized, you wanted it so badly, but somehow life kept handing you the opposite. You fell for people who didn't choose you back. You chased opportunities that vanished. You tried to stay calm, but stress always found a way in. It's frustrating, isn't it? Like life is playing a cruel trick, dangling what you want in front of you, but never letting you touch it. And maybe you've asked yourself the same haunting question over and over again. Why does this keep happening to me? Here's the truth. One that's hard to swallow but impossible to ignore. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Your life reflects your inner state, not your intentions. The world isn't responding to your wishes, it's responding to your frequency. And that means the answer isn't out there in the next person, opportunity, or strategy. It's in here, in who you are being. Because manifestation doesn't start with wanting, it starts with becoming. Number one, the misunderstanding of manifestation. Most people misunderstand what manifestation really is. They believe if they just think positively enough, speak affirmations out loud, and focus on what they want, the universe will somehow deliver it, like placing an order at a cosmic restaurant. This is the version of the law of attraction that gets shared in self-help memes and Instagram reels. But it's also why so many people feel frustrated and betrayed when their dreams don't show up. The truth is, desire alone doesn't attract. You can want deeply, even desperately, and still find yourself stuck in the same cycles. That's because what you consciously desire and what you subconsciously believe you deserve are often two very different things. Your conscious mind might say, I want a healthy relationship, while your subconscious says, I'm not lovable. You might declare, I want to be successful, while silently carrying a story that says, people like me never make it. And the thing is, the universe doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your energy, your state of being, your identity. This is where the law of resonance comes in. While the law of attraction focuses on pulling things toward you based on desire, the law of resonance says that you attract experiences, people, and outcomes that match your dominant frequency, what you are being, not just what you're asking for. So when your inner world is rooted in lack, fear, or unworthiness, you will continuously resonate with situations that mirror those states back to you, no matter how many times you repeat your affirmations in the mirror. This is why so many people feel like they're working against the universe, when in reality, they're just misaligned with what they want. Manifestation is not about wishing for things to come true. It's about shifting who you are so that what you desire becomes a natural extension of your being. Until your internal identity changes, your external reality won't. That's not punishment, it's a mirror. The goal isn't to fake positivity or suppress doubt. It's to do the deeper work of aligning your self-concept with the version of you who already has what you desire. Because when who you are aligns with what you want, manifestation becomes inevitable. It stops being magic and starts being math, resonance, alignment, embodiment. And that shift changes everything. Number two, the psychology of inner frequency. At the core of your lived experience, everything you attract, tolerate, chase, or reject is a powerful but often invisible force, your self-concept. This is the mental blueprint you hold about who you are, what you deserve, what's possible for you, and how the world works. It's not just a passive idea, it's the lens through which you interpret everything. And most importantly, it becomes the energetic signature you emit into the world. This is why inner frequency matters. Your beliefs, identity, and emotional state form a feedback loop that shapes your behavior and, in turn, the results you experience. You can desire love, abundance, or success all you want. But if your self-concept says, I'm not lovable, or I'm not good enough, then your energy will always vibrate at that level, and life will mirror it back to you. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you believe you are worthy of. It's not a punishment, it's psychological congruence. The mind seeks alignment between belief and reality. And when there's a gap, it doesn't stretch the belief to match the dream. It sabotages the dream to match the belief. That's why so many people unknowingly block their own blessings. If deep down you see yourself as broken or inferior, you will subconsciously repel the very things that contradict that identity. You'll overlook good opportunities, self-sabotage relationships, or procrastinate on your goals, not because you don't want them, but because they don't feel emotionally true to who you believe you are. This is what psychologists call cognitive dissonance. It's the discomfort that arises when we hold two opposing truths at once. Like, I want to be successful, but I'm not capable of succeeding. And the mind's reflex is to resolve that discomfort by reinforcing the identity, not the desire. So no matter how much you want something consciously, your subconscious will always pull you back to what feels familiar, even if it's painful. Familiar pain is safer to the brain than unfamiliar joy. That's why people stay in toxic relationships or stagnant jobs. They align with their self-concept. Your inner frequency isn't just a feeling, it's a broadcast. It tells the world how to treat you, what to offer you, and what doors to open or close. But here's the empowering truth. Self-concept is not fixed. It's not who you are, it's who you've learned to be. And that means it can be rewritten. When you start seeing yourself as worthy, capable, and whole, your energy shifts. You begin making choices that reinforce that new identity. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop begging and start selecting. You stop settling and start aligning. That's when life begins to meet you at the level of who you've become. Inner work isn't about becoming someone different. It's about remembering who you were before you learned to doubt yourself. Your reality doesn't change when you want it to. It changes when you change. And that begins with the psychology of inner frequency. Number 3. Real-world examples. Sometimes the most powerful proof of inner transformation isn't theory, it's people. Real stories of individuals who stopped trying to change the world around them and instead turned inward, rewrote their self-concept, and as a result experienced a total shift in what they attracted. Take Mia, for example. For years, she found herself trapped in a cycle of toxic relationships. No matter how different each person seemed at first, the end result was the same: emotional unavailability, manipulation, and heartbreak. She tried everything: dating apps, relationship advice, even affirmations in the mirror, but nothing changed. Because deep down, she still believed she was unworthy of being loved in a healthy way. It wasn't until she began therapy and inner work that she realized her self-worth had been built on childhood wounds. Years of feeling invisible, unheard, and unimportant. As she healed, her standards shifted, her tolerance for mistreatment dissolved, and without forcing or chasing, she started attracting people who mirrored her newfound self-respect. Love didn't feel like chasing anymore. It felt like being met. Then there's Jordan, ambitious, talented, full of potential. But every time he got close to success, something would collapse. He'd self-sabotage a job interview, procrastinate until a deadline passed, or back away from opportunities, with excuses that sounded logical but were rooted in fear. On the surface, he said he wanted success, but underneath, a quiet voice whispered, "You're not good enough." That voice was louder than any goal he set. It wasn't until he confronted the limiting beliefs behind that voice that things began to shift. Jordan started journaling daily, identifying the old narratives he inherited from a hypercritical parent and a string of failures that had built his identity around inadequacy. Slowly, he began rewriting his internal script, not with empty affirmations, but with evidence, reframing and small wins that built confidence from the inside out. Within a year, he wasn't just more successful, he felt successful. Opportunities he once shied away from became magnetic to him, and this time, he didn't run. He stood tall in them, because his identity finally matched his ambition. These stories are not exceptions. They are reflections of what many people experience. The woman who keeps dating versions of the same emotionally distant partner. The man who dreams big but never follows through. The person who wants peace but constantly feels anxious, scattered, or overwhelmed. In each case, the pattern continues not because the person is unlucky or unworthy, but because the inner self hasn't yet evolved to match the life they're trying to call in. What's being attracted is not the goal, but the unresolved wound, the outdated identity, the internal frequency. Once that frequency shifts, once you become someone who believes you deserve better, who acts with new standards, who walks with clarity and intention, the world responds accordingly. Reality doesn't argue with identity. It reflects it. And once that identity changes, so does everything else. Number 4, the mirror principle. One of the most powerful truths you can learn is this: life doesn't happen to you, it reflects you. This is the essence of the mirror principle. Your environment, your relationships, your results, they're not just random or circumstantial. They are direct reflections of your inner world, your beliefs, your emotional patterns, and your self-concept. Every conversation, every conflict, every repeated pattern is a kind of emotional mirror, offering you a glimpse into the parts of yourself you may not fully see or understand. When you look at your life as a mirror rather than a mess, everything becomes a message. The people you attract are not just companions, they are reflections. Every relationship is a mirror isn't just a poetic phrase, it's a psychological and spiritual truth. The friend who constantly disrespects your boundaries, that might reflect the parts of you that still fear setting limits. The partner who is emotionally unavailable, that could be echoing the unavailability you've learned to normalize from your past, or the vulnerability you're afraid to express. Even envy, irritation, or admiration, these aren't about the other person, they're about you. What triggers you often points to what's unhealed within you. Triggers are like signposts, not enemies. If something or someone provokes a strong emotional reaction, especially one that feels disproportionate, it's worth asking, what part of me is this touching? Is it insecurity, fear of rejection, a belief that you're not enough? Until you see your triggers as opportunities, you'll keep blaming the outside world and missing the invitation to evolve. This doesn't mean you're responsible for everything that happens to you, especially not abuse or trauma. But it does mean you're responsible for how you interpret and respond to those experiences. You can choose to see life through the lens of victimhood, or you can choose to see it as a mirror reflecting what needs attention, healing, or alignment. The mirror principle can be confronting because it forces you to take radical responsibility, but it's also incredibly empowering. If the world is mirroring back your internal state, then by changing your state, your beliefs, your emotional patterns, your level of self-respect, you can begin to change the reflection. You don't have to manipulate the mirror, you just have to shift what it's reflecting. That's the real work, not controlling people or outcomes, but transforming the parts of you that keep drawing in the same stories. And when you start seeing life this way, even the hard moments begin to make sense. They stop being obstacles and start becoming insights. You begin asking better questions. Why does this keep showing up for me? What is this revealing about how I see myself? And most importantly, what can I shift within me so I stop needing this reflection? In the end, the mirror principle reminds us that life is not just about effort, it's about alignment. It's about becoming the kind of person who no longer resonates with chaos, disrespect, scarcity, or self-doubt. When your inner world shifts, your outer world adjusts. Not because you forced it to, but because it can't help but reflect who you've become. Number 5. Becoming an energetic match. 5 shifts. If you truly want to attract something different in your life, the question isn't, how do I get it? But how do I become someone who naturally receives it? Attraction is a game of alignment, not chasing. You don't manifest by begging or forcing. You become an energetic match through intentional inner shifts, identity, emotion, behavior, surroundings, and mindset. Here are 5 practical and powerful transformations that will make you the kind of person who doesn't just want but draws in what they once thought was out of reach. The first shift is identity work, rewriting the internal story of who you are. Most of our identity was formed in childhood or through repetition of emotional experiences. We internalize beliefs like, I'm not lovable, I'm a failure, or I don't belong. And without realizing it, we build lives around those narratives. But here's the truth. Your identity is not a fact, it's a story. And stories can be rewritten. Start by noticing the labels you've attached to yourself. Are you calling yourself shy, broken, not smart enough, just unlucky? Begin replacing these labels with intentional chosen ones. Use journaling or mirror work to affirm who you are becoming. Ask, if I were already the version of me who had the love, peace, or abundance I want, how would I think, speak, and act? Begin to live in alignment with that version, even if you don't fully believe it yet. Identity shifts happen when your actions start to lead your beliefs, not the other way around. The second shift is emotional regulation, especially around joy, love, and success. Many people are more comfortable with stress than happiness. As strange as it sounds, joy can feel threatening when it contradicts our inner baseline. We sabotage love because we don't feel safe in intimacy. We push away success because it feels unfamiliar. This is called upper limiting, and it happens when your nervous system is wired for survival, not fulfillment. To change that, you have to teach your body that it's safe to feel good. This starts with awareness. When good things happen, do you immediately worry they'll disappear? Do you feel guilt or anxiety when you receive love or compliments? Instead of pushing those feelings away, breathe into them. Learn to stay with positive emotions just a little longer. Create daily rituals that calm your nervous system: meditation, grounding, breath work. Practice gratitude not as a forced routine, but as a nervous system reset. The more you allow your body to feel safe with expansion, the more naturally you'll align with the experiences you once resisted. Emotional regulation isn't about suppressing negative feelings. It's about expanding your capacity to hold positive ones without self-sabotage. The third shift is embodiment. Acting as if you already are the version of you who has what you want. This is not about pretending or faking confidence. It's about integrity between your desired identity and your daily actions. If you want to attract a healthy relationship, ask, how would someone who loves themselves behave today? If you want financial success, how does a financially empowered person make decisions? Even small ones. Begin showing up now with the energy you imagine having after you've arrived. This shift isn't about arrogance, it's about congruence. Embodiment sends a message to your subconscious. This is who we are now. And when your behavior begins to support your new identity, your external world starts to shift to match it. This can be as simple as dressing differently, speaking more assertively, honoring your time, or changing your posture. Every act of embodiment reinforces the energetic signal you're putting out. You stop chasing outcomes and start magnetizing them because you're no longer seeking what you lack. You're expressing what you already are. The fourth shift is environment, alignment. You cannot become a new version of yourself in an environment that constantly reminds you of who you used to be. That doesn't mean you have to abandon your life, but you do need to become conscious of your surroundings. What do you consume daily? What's in your social media feed? What kind of conversations dominate your friendships? What does your physical space say about your standards? Everything around you is either reinforcing your old story or supporting your new one. If you're trying to become a person of peace, but your space is chaotic and cluttered, your energy will reflect that. If you're trying to feel empowered, but you're surrounded by people who gossip, complain, or stay stuck, you will too. Begin curating your environment like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. Read books that expand your thinking. Follow creators who reflect your future, not your past. Organize your space so it reflects your intention, not your old habits. Your environment is either keeping your frequency low or elevating it. And once you change what's around you, you'll find it easier to stay aligned with who you're becoming. The fifth and final shift is letting go of lack. Desperation repels. When you want something so badly that it consumes you, what you're really broadcasting is, I don't have this, and I'm not enough without it. That energy pushes what you want further away, because it anchors you in scarcity. True attraction happens when you move from needing to knowing, from craving to calm. You don't attract what you obsess over. You attract what you've made peace with. Letting go doesn't mean giving up, it means detaching your worth from the outcome. You can still have desires, but they're no longer tied to your sense of identity. You know that whether or not the relationship comes, you are already loved. Whether or not the job lands, you are already valuable. This shift is subtle but life-changing. When you let go of the belief that something out there will complete you, you start to radiate wholeness, and that energy is magnetic. Practice surrender. Trust timing. Replace neediness with intention. Because when you stop needing, you start allowing, and what's meant for you flows in more easily, when you're not blocking it with resistance. These 5 shifts, identity, emotional regulation, embodiment, environment, and letting go, are not quick fixes. They are internal rewrites. But when you commit to becoming the version of you who already aligns with the life you desire, Manifestation becomes a natural byproduct. Not magic, not luck, just resonance. You become what you seek, and what you seek starts seeking you. Number 6. Common pitfalls and inner saboteurs. At some point on this journey, almost everyone hits a wall and asks, I'm doing all the right things. Why isn't it working? You journal, you affirm, you visualize, you show up differently. Yet the shifts you expected don't arrive in the timeline you hoped for. This is where many people spiral into self-doubt or give up altogether, convinced that they're either broken or simply not doing it right. But here's what's often missed. There's a difference between behavior change and identity transformation. On the surface, you may be acting like a new version of yourself. But underneath, in the subconscious, you may still be running on old patterns of unworthiness, fear, and emotional self-protection. These hidden saboteurs can quietly resist growth, because deep down, change feels unfamiliar, and unfamiliar often feels unsafe. Perfectionism is one of the sneakiest traps. You might believe that if you do everything perfectly, meditate every day, never have a negative thought, always stay high vibe, then the universe will reward you. But perfectionism is just fear in disguise. It's a defense mechanism that tries to control outcomes and avoid pain. The truth is, healing isn't linear, and transformation is messy. Some days you'll feel aligned and powerful. Other days you'll doubt everything. That's not failure, that's part of the process. If you judge yourself for every setback or expect flawless consistency, you'll burn out or spiral into shame, which only reinforces the old identity you're trying to leave behind. Another common saboteur is impatience. Growth takes time, not because the universe is withholding, but because your nervous system, identity, and emotional body need space to adjust. Impatience often signals a deeper belief that you're not okay until you arrive, that your current state is somehow inadequate. But real transformation isn't about rushing to the finish line. It's about expanding your capacity to be present through the in-between. Sometimes the delay is the lesson. Sometimes the waiting is where the deeper healing happens. And sometimes what looks like nothing's working is actually your system realigning beneath the surface, preparing you to hold what you're asking for without collapsing under it. Trauma loops also play a major role in resistance. If your nervous system has been shaped by pain, abandonment, or instability, your body may equate change with danger, even if the change is good. You might unconsciously recreate familiar chaos, push away love, or sabotage opportunities, because that chaos feels safer than peace. This isn't because you're flawed. It's because your body is loyal to what it knows. That's why gentleness is essential on this path. Self-compassion isn't weakness, it's rewiring. The more you can meet your resistance with curiosity instead of shame, the more you create space for true, sustainable change. The bottom line is this: inner work is not a checklist. It's a relationship with yourself, with your patterns, with your past, and like any deep relationship, it requires patience, forgiveness, and trust. The most powerful transformations don't always announce themselves with lightning bolts. Sometimes they whisper through your willingness to keep going, even when nothing looks different yet. Keep showing up, not for the outcome, but because the version of you you're becoming is worth it. The truth is simple but profound. You don't attract by force. You attract by becoming everything you truly desire. Love, success, peace, respect is not something to chase, but something to align with. It's never really been about the thing itself. It's about who you become in the process of seeking it. That's the real journey. When you shift from needing to embodying, from wishing to being, the world around you begins to reflect back a new reality. Not because of luck or chance, but because your energy no longer resonates with lack. It resonates with presence, power, and worthiness. The path to attracting what you want is the path of self-remembrance. You are not broken. You are becoming. So here's your invitation. Take a quiet moment today and ask yourself, who would I be if I already had what I'm asking for? Not just in action, but in attitude, in energy, in self-talk. Would you be softer, more confident, less reactive? Would you finally feel safe, seen, or proud of who you are? Begin to live into that version, not tomorrow, but now. Let every small choice reflect that identity. Let your habits, your posture, your boundaries, and even your silence speak from the self you are becoming, not the self you are trying to fix. I'll leave you with this quote by James Allen. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. That one sentence changed the way I approached everything. It reminded me that life is not waiting for some perfect moment to give me what I desire. It's already responding to who I'm being right now. And the moment I began living from the version of myself that no longer begged for worthiness but simply claimed it, I watched the world shift to meet me, not overnight, not without challenge, but inevitably. You don't need to become someone else. You need to return to the you that always knew your value. That's where your power is. So start today, not with force, but with a quiet decision to align. Everything else will follow.